Hello everyone and welcome to my kitchen. It's Tara of theFitFoodieMommy.com, and today I'm going to be sharing with you some of my top pantry essentials. This has been a difficult task for me to actually pick because I have lots of favorites in my pantry. Now, as I share with you, I would like to invite you to maybe take an audit of your own pantry and think about which of these ingredients you already have, and well done if you do. And if some of these might sound new, well, this is an opportunity for you to actually explore new healthy ingredients. We all know that most of us are in lockdown. For us here in Melbourne, and we've been on lockdown for months now. And I know it's always a perpetual question as to what to feed our picky eaters, right? Like, where are the moms in the houses right now? So if you're like me, I'm a mom. I always try to make sure that I have enough pantry essentials so that anytime I feel like cooking something different, outside of the weekly menu, then I have what I need. Now, let's get going. Now, the first on my list is oats. So what I always have is the traditional rolled old-fashioned oats. It's the unprocessed and it's different from the instant oats. And I like to use this because of the texture and how I prep this, usually with some milk or maybe some water. I obviously love my overnight oats. You can also make this into muesli. I love having it in granola. So I always have a big jar of these old-fashioned rolled oats. Next on my list, number 2, I have my coconut oil. If you've been following me for a while, you would know that I love to cook and bake with coconut oil. Now, this is a great alternative to butter or like to your usual vegetable oils. This is definitely a healthier option. And what I have is organic, extra virgin, unrefined, and cold pressed coconut oil. So make sure to always read the labels. Coconut oil, it's known to help reduce cholesterol, the bad cholesterol, and it's also low glycemic. So really good stuff. Next, I have my diced tomatoes. So yes, I do have fresh tomatoes in my fridge, but I always have these Italian diced tomatoes. I use this in my pastas, in my chili recipes, and sometimes even in my shakshuka. If you've seen that over in my Facebook as well. Just make sure that you only have 100% tomatoes in here. There's no additives. It doesn't have sugar or even salt in here. So this is really good stuff here. Now, next on my list, I have my flour. I love baking, as you know. So I always have my almond flour for those gluten-free paleo options, which is really just made from ground almonds. So I don't have a brand in particular that I go for. Just make sure that it's blanched. I love to use the blanched almond flour just because the skin of the almonds is not included. So that means your breads or even your cakes come out finer in texture, and they come out more cakey and less dense. Now, I know almond flour can be a little bit on the expensive side, so I always have my whole wheat flour as an option. Wholemeal or whole wheat plain flour, it has tons of fiber compared to your regular all-purpose flour. So I always have this as well in making my banana breads, even my scones, and even my bread. So I've also started to make my own bread. Next on my list, I have my whole grain. So I have my quinoa. Well, quinoa is actually a pseudo cereal. It's not really like a grain per se. It's considered to be almost like a seed, right? So quinoa, it's high in protein. So this is a great alternative for you if you don't like to, or if you want to cut down on your white rice. And it's perfect for salads. I love it as well in filling. Like, I sometimes put it in muffins. Yes, there's tons of options you can have. As you can see, it's almost empty. I need to refill this one. And I've also started to use pearl barley. So instead of like the usual risotto, like the arborio rice, I've used this one for my risotto. So again, it's whole grain, and it's also perfect for soups and even for salads. Now, on to my other favorite ones, my legumes or my beans. I have here my chickpeas or garbanzo beans. I love to use this in hummus or just add it into my salads or in my soups. And I also have here my pinto beans. Sometimes I also have my 4-bean mix, like my black beans or my red kidney beans. I always have that in my pantry because when I feel like having some chili. Like I have my recipe vegetarian chili in my website if you want to try that out. And beans are a rich source of protein, so they're considered plant-based sources of protein. They're fleshy and they're meaty and they're delicious, right? Like I mean, hummus for one, my little boy loves it. I didn't think he would love it, but he does. So I always make that for my toast, so instead of having butter, so that's a perfect alternative. So I think we're almost halfway. And now on to the fun part. So I love my nuts, and I have here my cashews and my pecans. It's actually a mix of walnuts and pecans. Now cashews is my favorite because I use this a lot in the granolas, and I top it in my smoothies. I put it in my baked goods, and I also make milk out of this. Yes, so I have my 2-ingredient cashew milk. It's also in my website if you want to try that out. It's just milk and cashews. I mean, how simple can that get? And we all know that nuts, they're also rich in protein, in fiber, and especially walnuts, they're rich in omega-3. And we all know omega-3 is great for the heart, cholesterol, and even for the skin. It's considered a skin food. Now, in relation to the whole nuts, I also have my nut butter. Yes, I love my nut butter, and this is seed butter. Instead, it's called tahini. It's made from sesame seed paste. It's widely available here in Australia, and I'm sure you can get this in some healthy stores in your location. This is great if you are looking for a nut-free alternative, right? So I've made tons of recipes out of this, like my bliss bowls and even my banana breads, and what else? I think I've also made fudgy brownies and cookies made of these. Again, all the recipes are in the website. My almond spread, another favorite of mine, next to peanut butter. Almond butter is such a favorite. I put it in my smoothies, in fact, to make it really extra creamy and just to add a bit of protein in there. And you can even pair this with celery and carrot sticks. I know you might say it sounds weird, but trust me, the combination is delicious. Now, in relation to the nuts, because I love to snack, I also have my dark chocolate. I mean, who doesn't love chocolate, right? Like, chocolate is actually, in fact, known to help boost your mood, and it has lots of antioxidants for as long as you consider picking the dark chocolate. So I don't think I've ever bought milk chocolate ever since we moved here, or for the last few years. This one is, in fact, 95% dark chocolate. I usually use 70 to 80% for my baked goods. And I have my dark chocolate chips handy if we want to make like cookies or like muffins with Theo. We always have that in the pantry. In relation to the snack essentials, I have my chia seeds. And chia seeds, we all know it's rich in fiber. It's a type of a seed, and you know, it's very tiny, but trust me, it's a super powerhouse of nutrients. Like, it's rich with omega-3s and highly anti-inflammatory as well. How I prep this, I have my chia pudding, and again, the recipe is in my website if you want to try that out. It's the perfect alternative for low carb options. If you're not really a fan of like oats or overnight oats, then chia pudding is the next way to go. We're almost done, so stay with me. I have as well my sardines, right? So you might say, do I even have like canned food in my pantry? Yes, of course, like everything in moderation. I'm not a believer of eliminating like food groups. I'd rather have everything in balance, right? Like, we all love to eat after all. So I always have my tuna. So this is chunks in oil. And we all know that sardines, you know, on top of like the usual salmon, they're healthy, fatty fish. So really, really good for you, good for the heart. Again, lots of omega-3s in there. I go on and on about omega-3s because it's an essential fatty acid. And it's great for the joints, again, for the eyes, for the skin, for the hair pretty much, and of course for the heart and the brain. So it's got lots of benefits in there. So make sure you have a good amount of omega-3s into your diet. Now, speaking of omega-3s, I'm not done with that yet because I have here my other essential, and this is my extra virgin olive oil. And I also have here my regular olive oil, which is for cooking. Now, we don't recommend cooking with extra virgin olive oil just because it has a low boiling point, and you know, it's best when it's served fresh. So I usually just drizzle this on my salads, on my eggs, sometimes even on my toast. And whereas the olive oil, I can use this for my pan frying, for my usual cooking, and even for baking. I've tried this as well. Now on to the last, we want to end this on a sweet note. So I have here my pure or real maple syrup. I know I kind of hoarded because it was on sale. So make sure that you read the labels, you guys. Like 100% pure Canadian maple syrup. So how different is it? Number one, read the labels. So it should only have 100% maple syrup. Nothing else, nothing more. So most of the other artificial maple syrup would have like additives and thickeners and artificial sweeteners, and you really don't want that into your food. Like I, for one, can't tell the difference, like even the taste. Like once you try out the pure maple syrup, like you wouldn't go back to the artificial ones. And we all know that sugar in itself is not bad for as long as you go for the natural sweeteners, and this is considered a natural sweetener, you know, on top of the others. Like coconut sugar is another favorite of mine. Honey, for sure. I should have had honey here, but I like the maple syrup because of the malty taste. Honey, for sure, it's a much cheaper alternative, so go ahead if you're all for that. So that's it, you guys. Like, this is my top 13, I believe, Pantry Essentials, the healthy stuff that I normally have in my pantry. Now, your question might be, should I have everything all at once? You know, if I can recommend, like, you don't have to have like an ultimate pantry makeover, because for one, it can be costly, right? Like, try to add in like 1 or 2 new healthy ingredients into your pantry. Maybe start with sugar instead of using refined white sugar. Try to substitute it with the all natural, your honey, your maple, or even your coconut sugar. And then, you know, you work your way up from there. What really matters is that you also enjoy these types of ingredients and also know how to prep and use this in your recipes. Speaking of recipes, if you need help, you can always hop into my website, thefitfoodiemommy.com. There's tons of recipes, easy, family-friendly recipes in there using most of these ingredients that I have mentioned. So I hope that you have enjoyed our little chit chat today, because I surely did. And if you do have questions about what we talked about, like the Pantry Essentials, please put it down in the comments below, and I'd love to hear from you. And if you do have some suggestions as to what topics you would want for me to share in our next video, just let me know. I would love to hear from you. So with that, I wish you well. Have a great weekend. Stay healthy, stay happy, stay safe always. Bye for now, guys.